Hello and welcome. This is Ingram Jones. We are live here from Bayloric Worldwide Television. This is a very special coverage on an individual that I find is not only special and talented, but has got a message for the world. Her name is Zion. She is on YouTube, but she's more than just on YouTube. She is an entrepreneur in her own right, a certified Fairyologist. Now that fascinated me. I wanted to know more about the stuff that Zion does, and I won't go on too much. I'm going to let Zion introduce herself and take the floor. So Zion, the floor is yours.
Hello.
Let me take the camera and bring you on, bring you in the room. Greetings, Zion. How are you?
Hello. I'm good. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being on Bayloric Worldwide Television. So your name is Zion. You have a YouTube channel called Heart Union, correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay, so certified Fairyologist.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I mean, you know, when I kind of like when you're sitting down in the classroom and you're young and they ask yourself the question, the teacher asks you, so what do you mean when you grow up? Oh, I want to be a doctor, a scientist, you know, I want to fly into space. I want to be a pilot. You know, I want to be a solicitor. I want to work for my dad's or mum's company. I want to work with a family company. Yeah, I see those things, but you know, it takes a very special person to put their hand up and say, you know what, I want to become a certified Fairyologist. And I know I'm not that naive to understand that life doesn't quite work out that way. So I want to know kind of what got you into the journey, how you got to becoming a certified Fairyologist. And that takes, you know, it takes a special kind of person to go the whole way and do that and not be discouraged. So the floor is yours.
Well, that's really, really funny because if you would have asked me what I wanted to be when I was little, I would have said I wanted to be a cat. So, you know, life changes. So yes, I'm a certified Fairyologist, and it's not the only thing I do. Mainly I do emotional healing, so I facilitate emotional healing and I give coaching to other people. But Fairyology is a really big part of my life too, and I have a huge connection to the elemental realm. So for those of you, the viewers that are watching that don't know, a Fairyologist is a person who studies the elemental realm and who's passionate about nature and about the animals. And basically the elemental realm are these divine beings that most people think to be just mythological. So fairies, elves, dwarves, pixies, dragons, and all these magical creatures that live in nature, that take care of nature and also of the animals. So a Fairyologist is a person who has a deep connection with these beings, who can communicate with these beings and who can give readings and who can channel information from these beings. And yeah, so my journey, I wouldn't really know where to start. I think it's like most people, to be honest, spirituality. I was at a very dark moment in my life, and I started doing yoga basically, and my yoga teacher was my first coach. So I had coaching with him, and I didn't really know what I was gonna find in this new world, but I found a lot. And so yeah, that's how my journey started. I really like to find what can I give to the world? You know, what's the wisdom that I already hold within me? So I don't really read a lot of books or anything like that, you know, because I don't want to be so conditioned. I mean, I've read some really nice things, but I like to bring out my own, you know, because I feel like it's more, there's more richness to that, you know, there's more expansion, it's more freedom. And so I wanna share that with the world. And yeah, I do a lot of work. I'm obsessed with shadow work. So I go deep into emotional stuff, you know, from childhood. And that's also why I really love my job, you know, helping people doing that. And I'm vegan. And I've had a very interesting journey. I've gone through major depression, fatigue, chronic fatigue, anxiety.
Hey, stop right there. I had chronic fatigue for 7 years. I knew there was some connections there. I had it for 7 years.
Oh, wow.
And overcame it without any drugs.
Me too.
That's the whole chronic fatigue syndrome. I think, in my opinion, it's a spiritual experience, and it's almost saying to you, there are things you need to do to change about your life. And everybody who seems to have chronic fatigue syndrome seems to be very loving and very caring and very wanting to give to the world, but the environment around them of people who are takers, and the people around them are pretty dark and oppressive types of people. And our diets have to change, our mindsets have to change. It's just a totally different journey. I had it for 7 years, and I couldn't remember where I put the key in the door, getting up every morning in pain. And then people from the outside, people who were close to me, family members saying to me, oh, you're lazy. Oh, just dismissing you. Oh, there's nothing wrong with you. The doctor saying to you, just take some tablets, you'll be okay. Oh, take some antidepressant tablets. That'll make you feel better. You're like, I didn't go down the road. I said, you know what? There's got to be another way, and which took me down my journey. So coming back to you, and there's a lot of things you've said in that little piece. You spoke about not reading too much and your mind not being conditioned. For you to even say that, it means that you've taken the chance in life to look at situations and see people who have been conditioned. And often the times we found that people have been conditioned is when we're actually talking about our own experiences. And then we go to those people for those experiences, and they give us these conditioned responses. Talk to me about that.
I mean, we've all been conditioned through the process of socialization. I mean, ever since we were little, we've been conditioned to believe things, to do things, to feel things, to be something that we're not. We're all conditioned. But you know what I was trying to say with that is, like, when it comes to spirituality, I would rather bring out what is already within me, you know, and learn from my own experience instead of learning from other people's experience, because I feel like it can be a lot richer. I feel like I can expand a lot more through my own experience. I'm not saying I can't learn from other people's. Of course I can. Of course. But I prefer focusing on my own experience, you know, and what feels true to me according to what I am, you know, seeing as a fact in my life, what I'm experiencing, what I'm bringing out from my own experience.
So what was the key? What was the key for you to overcoming the whole chronic fatigue syndrome for you?
Feeling. In one word. You know, I really like what Teal Swan has to say about chronic fatigue syndrome. I watched the video only a few days ago, and I really, really liked it. It's like we're trying to get away from the feeling. You know, we're trying to get away from the pain. We're trying to run away. And that never works. I mean, that just backfires immensely. And that's why, you know, you feel such deep pain at all levels, you know, when you have chronic fatigue syndrome, because you are essentially, like, your higher self is so separated from your temporary self. You know, you as a human being, you want to get away from the experience, while your higher self just wants you to have the experience so that you can get through it. You can go on to something else. But I feel like for me, it was all about feeling. I've been super dissociated for most of my life because I was never allowed to feel my emotions when I was little. And as soon as I consciously started to feel and tried to feel and to be present unconditionally with the pain, is when I started to get out of my depression, anxiety, and chronic fatigue syndrome. And I really, really think that emotions, like, if people are more in touch with their emotions, this would be a much healthier world. Much healthier.
What do you think are the triggers for things such as depression and chronic fatigue syndrome?
I think it depends on every person, but there's always something deeper behind it. I mean, that's just a symptom. You know, that's just your subconscious mind communicating to you that there's an issue that needs to be integrated. Something that you've gone through, some fractured aspect of yourself now is asking for integration, and you're ready for it. you know. But the more that we run away from it and we take tablets or we distract ourselves or we, you know, positive focus, the worse it's going to be, because we're not really giving the issue the attention it needs, you know. It's like our inner child is wounded and it's asking us for attention so that healing can occur. And we just keep neglecting that child over and over again. So it's more and more painful every time until you really turn to see, you know, what's the depth behind it. Because there is depth behind it. There's always depth.
So let's talk about, let's give our viewers who are probably watching now those steps that you took. You talked about feeling. What were those steps once you had those feelings and connected with those feelings that got you out of the position that you were in to then be on the other side to look back and say, that's where I was. I'm not going back there again. Thank you.
Well, it's just making it like a daily practice, you know, it's just making it part of your life to start really feeling. It's not that complicated. You know, I feel like the journey is going to be different for every person, but I've had therapy for many years. I've gone through different psychologists and things like that, but it didn't really take me that long, like, to be honest. Even though I've been that way, I was experiencing depression, fatigue syndrome, and anxiety for 2 years. I mean, I had depression for longer than that, but those three for 2 years. And it didn't really take me that long to get out of it. Veganism was a huge part of it, I have to say. Because when I became a vegan, I was eating raw tofu, so I was eating a lot of raw, and that gave me so much mental clarity. It gave me such strength in my body, and it just made me want to live more. I felt like I was more lively, you know, I was more excited about life, and also it gave me purpose too. And I started questioning a lot of things, you know, so it's like, yeah, that was a big part of it too. And just feeling like going through my own emotions when I feel something come up, the anxiety itself, just going into it, going towards it and feeling it. And when you do that, when that's a daily practice for you, that is huge. And of course, I also had therapy, so someone really amazing helped me. And I also did Reiki, so I'm initiated in Reiki, and that helped me too. But I have to say that the main thing that helped me was just feeling. It's just feeling, going into your emotions, doing work with your inner child. And recently, something I've really been enjoying is the completion process, again, from Teal Swan. And I really recommend it because it's deep, 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 deep work that anybody can do. And it's really helping, and I'm still using it. You know, I work on myself continuously. Things keep coming up, even though I don't have a depression anymore, you know, but things keep coming up. The more you awaken, the more you walk on this path of spirituality, the more you open up to working yourself at a deeper level. And there's always more depth, you know, there's always more. So it's not that I'm done, you know, I don't think anybody's ever done. I think enlightenment is not like somewhere where you just get to and it's over. It's like, it's a journey, it's an endless journey. And I'm all the time working on myself emotionally. It's just something I committed to, basically, you know, when I was at that time. I committed to my own well-being, to my own self-love, and to my own healing. And so I'm still committed, and I will always be. It's my priority.
Absolutely. I want to go back to your veganism. I think it's very important, this, because I remember talking, somebody actually came to me and said to me, well, you want to talk about life and giving life, but yet you're putting dead meat into your body. You're putting dead meat into your temple. For life to come out, you need to put life in. So live foods, keep away from eating dead meat. And I'm like, what? And it sort of made sense. So once that was said to me, bang. I mean, you know, I remember times before, go to the McDonald's or go to have a Nando's and all those things are there, the KFC, the big buckets of chicken, and like, oh, eating it and enjoying it, but not really thinking about, I was aware and conscious of the process of the chicken and eating the chicken and enjoying that. But I also would go on the farm and see where the chicken was running around the farm and try to disassociate that, what was running around on the farm, to what I was actually eating. It's the same thing. And I'm killing that and then eating it and then turn around saying I've got life within me. It was like, so when that sort of hit me, I realized I stopped eating, and it was eating meat. At first, the side effects were like, I need more meat. I need to eat meat. I need to find protein. But then after that, I noticed an enlightenment, a heightening, and a greater awareness of things around, and more in tune with my body, my mind, my soul. Everything seemed more interconnected. And like a detox and a cleansing of the body. And since then, I haven't gone back. Don't get me wrong. I walk past McDonald's, or I walk past a KFC, or go past an Nan's and go, but I know better. I know better. So for yourself, what was it that made you become a vegan?
Well, I think a few things. I mean, I was already a vegetarian. I had been a vegetarian for 2 years. I wanted to be a vegetarian since I was a little girl, but my family are very traditional, and actually one of my relatives owned a farm and they produced meat products. So you can imagine, you know, a family like mine listening to a 5-year-old being like, I want to be a vegetarian. Everyone was like, no, you're going to eat your meat. But I hated it so much that I used to chew it and take a napkin when nobody was looking and spit like the meat out and like put it in my pocket and then go to the bathroom and like throw it down the toilet. Like I couldn't stand it. It was just like my system hated it, and something inside of me just didn't feel right. So I became a vegetarian. I didn't know anything that was going on, to be honest. I didn't know how they were treating animals. I didn't know how it was like in terms of environmentally. You know, but I just became a vegetarian when I moved out, because I moved to England and I lived there for 3 years on my own. And so I realized, you know, I'm not going to cook meat. I'm not going to buy it. So I'm just going to become a vegetarian. And then so 2 years later, I was going through this very difficult time, and I started really researching nutrition, because I'm really, really into that too, you know, wellness at all levels. And I looked up the Raw 204 diet, and it was really interesting to me. And then one day I watched a documentary from Gary Yourofsky, and I was like, bam, I'm vegan in the moment. And I've been a vegan for over 2 years, 2.5 years now. And it's one of the best decisions I've ever made in my life.
So talk to us about food to eat. What are the things that you advise people to eat? I know on your YouTube channel, again, you've done some stuff there with the food that you eat. Absolutely interesting stuff, great stuff. Made me want to eat myself at the time. So talk to us about it.
Well, I think, you know, we're actually frugivores. Is that the word in English? But we're actually meant to eat raw, and a lot of people don't know that. But that's what is the best for the human body. So it's really easy for the human body to process and digest fruits and vegetables, nuts and seeds that are raw, you know. So I most of my diet is raw. So I eat a lot of fruit, a lot, as much as I can, you know. If I lived in a tropical country, which I hope to very soon, I would eat so much more fruit, you know. And but at the time, right now, my diet is not fully raw. And I just think that, you know, people have to just feel into what feels good to them, you know, because everyone's at a different point on their journey. And I think just start to experiment, you know, and avoid processed foods, avoid caffeine, avoid alcohol, and those things that we know that are not natural, and just go towards a more whole foods, plant-based lifestyle, you know. And if it's organic, then it's even better. That's what I would advise, according to my experience. But I think people have to do their research too.
Of course they do. Let's talk more about the Fairyologists, and let's talk really about, you talked about the dragons, the elves. Now that is something I'm fascinated in. I can't remember the game again. It was a computer game that used to have back in the day where the elf, and they had was it Gauntlet? I think it was the day. That's the first time I ever knew about elves. Gauntlet. And then obviously I now live in Ireland, so the Irish, the elf, and yes.
Oh, Ireland! Woo!
Yes.
I love Ireland.
You love it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you know, the elves, and of course, but I know there's more to it than that. And I want to know now more about, I mean, I know about the crystals and the healing and crystals and stuff like that, but I want to know more about this stuff in terms of the elves, the dragons, stuff like that. Talk to me about that, and talk to me how you got connected with that.
Okay. So I've always had a pretty deep connection with angels. So that's kind of like how it all started. I'm gonna explain why. But basically, I had been like channeling information from angels and seeing angels, and just really getting in touch with them every single day, and it was beautiful. And so I started following Doreen Virtue, and she put out this Fairyologist course. It's the first Fairyologist course ever, and I don't know why, but I just needed to take it because I have a huge connection to nature too, and a part of me just felt like the elementals were real, but I wasn't quite sure. I wasn't quite sure. I have it to admit it. And everyone always calls me fairy, like all the time. So it's like, oh, Zion the fairy, and it's like I have to take that course. And I didn't have the money at the time. This is really interesting. And so this is how like the fairies are incredible because they know so well planet Earth. They know everything about manifestation and money and relationships and everything because they've been here for so long. And so I wrote down on my journal that day, I'm gonna take this course, universe. Like, please help me, like with the money, to get it. And 2 days later, someone just randomly gave me more than enough money to take the course, and I was like, what? And it's funny because they gave it to me in dollars too, not in euros. The course was in dollars, and everything was just really weird. So I was like, okay, I guess I'm meant to take the course, and I took the course, and it was fascinating. And I just kept learning and learning and learning, on my own through my own experiences. And it's just, there's not one day that I don't connect with them, and it's changed my life so much. Like, they bring so much magic and so much joy and excitement and innocence into your life. It's like that innocent, like that inner child. It comes out to play, and gosh, they're amazing. They're like these little warriors that are like healing all the time, and that are also reminding people, to like play and have fun. And it's this like kind of thing between the sacred and the silly, that is just so beautiful about the elementals, that they can come to you and be super like wise and spiritual, and then the next moment they're like playing around. It's just fascinating. It's just beautiful.
Very, very fascinating. You mentioned a very important woman there, name of Doreen Virtue. I came across Doreen Virtue through the numbers. Now we're going to really go. This is off my interview path, and this is now personal experience. The numbers, looking at the clock, seeing 1444 or 1333 or the 333, or why are those numbers coming up, and understanding those numbers are the angels talking to you and giving you insight as to what's next down the road. The 333, the ascended masters, and 1111, when that comes up, what you should be doing at that time, or 2222, knowing that your prayers are being answered, or the things that you've asked for are going to come to fruition. Mm-hmm. Those things that almost, it's another plane that once you start getting into that and you start following that down the road, you start saying, oh, that's come up. Well, that's happening. That's happening. You're in a different world because you're sitting down talking to somebody, and then you'll look at your time and you'll go, oh, it's 1444. And then you'll go to somebody else and go, oh, it's time's 1444. And they look at you and they go, yeah, and what, mate? And I'm like, what is 1444? Do you not understand? Something special's going to happen now. They're like, no, mate, you're wacko, you're crazy. And like, you yourself know the benefits of it. But it's like, you have to talk to people that really understand it, because if you don't, you're crazy. And you're like, well, maybe I'm crazy. But it's not crazy because you followed the path, and there's been fruit at it, and it's so much fruit there, and you're like, what? This is great stuff. I want more. Why can't I have more now? Like, it's great. Sorry, that was just me going off into what's really inside, coming out, and yeah.
True.
So talk to me. You seem to resonate with that then.
Oh yeah, are you kidding me? I've been seeing numbers like that for years now. They're hunting me like every single day. 444 is the biggest one for me. Keeps following me. And lately, 18. Like yesterday, I must have seen 18 like, I don't know, 12 times or something.
Yes.
I was like, okay, I get it. And you just look it up and it's like, wow, this makes so much sense, so accurate. And it's, of course, you know, it's real, but not everybody is like, you know, on the same points as you on their own journey. So they're not everyone is gonna get it, but yeah.
Well, I think it's done as a wind up sometimes. I think it's really done as a wind up, because you can be having a conversation about something like, I don't know, you're just having a conversation, and then suddenly you'll feel it. You'll feel your whole senses draw you to your phone. You look to your phone, it's like, oh wow.
Mm-hmm.
And then somebody say, what is that? What's so amazing? I'm just saying the time's 1444. And to you, that's amazing because you know where it takes you. You know what it means. It's an answer to a question. Somebody else is like, what? Don't get you. You see? And it's just different planes, different, like totally different worlds,
Yeah.
but still connected in the same world. And it's just one point there. It's like, that's so fascinating.
Yeah, it is.
How do you deal with balance? Now, balance is something that I have personally struggled with, because when you get into this world, you can become so absorbed by it and by yourself, just being in it all the time, that you don't want to interact with a day-to-day person. You don't want to interact with day-to-day society, because you're gaining so much knowledge. You're gaining so much food. And then other times I found that I've eaten so much, I've had to just kind of shut off for it and just wait for the stuff to download in the mind. It's like too much overload. And I just have to say, look, I don't want to see no more today. I really don't want to know no more. And then they're just stretching you because they're taking you that much further. So how do you deal with the balance and keeping yourself in with day-to-day life? And how do you do it?
Man. Wow. I mean, for an empath, I understand. It's intense, you know. I mean, I keep coming back to myself, to be honest. I keep doing what makes me feel more centered and more in alignment. So for me, one thing that really helps, nature, angels, fairies, journaling,
Hug a tree?
Sorry?
Hug a tree?
What?
Hug a tree.
Oh yeah, constantly. And leaning on them too, yeah. All the time. Of course. But like for me it's so normal that, like, you know, in my mind it's kind of hard to believe that some people think it's weird. Like for me it's just so normal now, you know. It's so part of my life that, yeah, of course I do it. Like I eat and I sleep just like everyone, right? A lot of I like to do a lot of, like, you know, going back into myself. And so, like, because there's so many like external influences, you know, all the time, crazy energy and emotions, and then you're going through your own process, your own teachings, and all the things that you're downloading, and blah blah blah, and it's all like too much. So I like to like go back within. I like to like feel again, just like sit and feel. How do I feel right now? And what do I need now, you know? So I usually like writing a lot. I journal every single day, so my mind is clear, and my emotions are just more steady, you know, when I do that. Everything just, I can see everything with a wider perspective, you know, when I write, and just spending time on my own too. But I think it's important to not isolate ourselves, because even though it may be intense, we need to learn, you know, to build connection with other people in a balanced way. And yeah, so sometimes I tend to isolate myself. So that's my issue sometimes, you know, when I'm trying to find balance, because I feel really good, you know, when I spend time on my own. But if I isolate myself, then I don't feel good. So it's like
I get you. Here's another thing.
What do you do?
For me, I kind of feel like I'm split between two worlds. That's how I feel. And the more it's real difficult, because I feel like in that realm, that world where there's the numbers and the hearing from other realms, and you're in touch with that, and you love that, and you're understood. You don't have to explain yourself. You want to stay there because you're understood. You're valued for who you are in that plane. And then you have to kind of come back to this plane, in this universe and this society, and deal with all the negative energy and the rubbish and all that stuff that goes with it. And you have to kind of maneuver your way around it. So when I end up going into the room like that, and I end up spending a lot of time like that, I become very dismissive of the world that I'm in. Even though I know I've got to serve and I've got to do things and there's a job to be done, often it makes me get to a point where I don't want to be here, simply because I know that there's so much more fruitful things out there. And once you, it's almost like having two apples, and you bite the first apple and it's the sweetest apple you could have tasted, and then somebody says, well, you know what, you can eat that apple again, but that's not as often as you can eat the apple you're going to eat every day, which is going to be bitter and nasty. So you're eating a bitter and nasty apple, and you're like, well, I don't like that because I've had that apple. They're like, no, this is the apple you got to eat now. I said, no, but I want to eat that apple. No, you're eating this. So when I do eat that apple, it's like I feel good. I don't know how to explain it. I feel great. I feel with myself. That's why I kind of feel energized and feel understood and feel ready to go to do the work back with the not so good apple is. So balancing, I don't think I've got it yet. I just think I just grit my teeth and get through it. But for me, I think the greatest energy for me is being around kids, being around young people. That is what gets me most balance. When I'm around young people, that's fine. Get me young people and I'm okay. The rest of it I can't deal with. If I can scratch out the rest of it, give me the young people, I'm fine. But the rest I can't deal with. So it's like next there, and I'll just do here. But you know, the universe isn't like that, constantly stretching you, constantly giving you more stuff to deal with. Let me flip something and throw something else at you that came to my mind. Automatic writings. This is an interesting one. What about writing stuff down? You say you're connected with the fairies, the angelic realm, writing things down and then coming to fruition and being a part of your life and almost being the map for your life. How do you live a day-to-day life kind of understanding what the path is for you because you've been enlightened in a certain way, and because you're enlightened in a certain way, you can actually see things happening in people that you care for and love, but yet no matter what you say to them, they ignore what you say and still go on and end up going down that rabbit hole anyway. How do you deal with those emotions and sort of control that as well?
I don't control it. That's the thing.
Okay. Maybe control's the wrong word. Maybe control is the wrong word I've used there. Pebbly, how do you live? That's probably a better word. Take the word control and use the word live. So I'll take the word control, use the word live.
Give me a second. I'm going to get my charger because my laptop is dying.
Okay.
But
the beauty of life, isn't it?
Sorry?
I said the beauty of life, isn't it?
Yeah. You've just got to flow with it. That's what fairies do.
You know, but going with the flow is great when it's going your way. It's when it's not going your way and somebody says, go with the flow. I struggle with that.
Yeah, but that's the most important time to go with the flow.
Absolutely. I understand. So talk to me.
It's more complicated. So what was the question again? I'm sorry.
So it was about those nearest and dearest to you with the enlightened information that you get.
Okay, yeah, I remember.
How do you talk with them?
Okay, so you know, it used to be really like complicated to me, like challenging, especially with veganism more than spirituality, to see other people do things that I didn't think that they should be doing, you know. But the thing is, what should be happening other than what is happening? So it's all about perspective, you know. Now I've just come to a point where I'm more allowing and I'm more accepting and unconditionally loving towards other people, no matter where they're at on their journey. I see that wherever people are at on their journey is exactly where they need to be, and I'm nobody to interfere with that. You know, the only thing I can do is be a shining example. And if they want to engage in a conversation, if they want to know what I think or what I feel or what I've experienced, of course I'll share that. You know, that's what I'm passionate about. But I will never tell somebody that they should be at a different point on their journey than where they're at. You know, I think everybody is exactly where they're meant to be. They're going at their own pace and they're doing their own thing. And even though from here, like on Earth, we see like injustice and we see suffering, and we see pain, you know, and we don't like it and we want to change it, there's also a higher divine plan, and we've got to see that there's only expansion where there's pain, you know. That's how it works here on earth. And if we're trying to avoid pain in other people's experience, then we're also going to take away their expansion. So ultimately, we're not really making a favor. We're not really helping. And I think the best thing that you can do is just be unconditionally supportive and accepting of what other people, you know, choose to do with their journey, and be a shining example.
But okay, that's okay, and that's fine, and I totally agree with you there. What about that humanitarian heart that we have? We want to help everybody in our lives, and you know, if we can help a stranger, why can't we help those nearest and dearest to us? We have the philosophy of, well, if I can help a stranger, then I can help my nearest and dearest. But your nearest and dearest all seem to be the ones that want to slap you in your face and tell you to go away. Why is that the case?
That tends to happen. That tends to happen. But the thing is, it's all about perspective. What is helping? You know, what is helping? Is changing their perspective helping? Is telling them what to do helping? I don't think so, you know. And a lot of the times people in the spiritual community feel super frustrated because their family don't see life the same way that they do, or vegans, you know, but that's not helping. Like, trying to get them where you're at is not helping. It's like, it's like butterfly. Like, if you try to get the butterfly out of the cocoon, you're going to kill it. You have to allow it to go through.
Hold on. Wisdom you have, wisdom I have. It's that wisdom that somebody else passed on to us to allow us to move to that next step, correct or not?
What?
They've shared that wisdom with us.
Can you repeat that, please?
Okay, wisdom. The wisdom that you have, the wisdom that I have, we've gained that wisdom from fairies or angels or people have come into our lives and given us wisdom, moments of wisdom, gems of wisdom. Then we've been maybe had a difficult moment of life, or maybe we've been advised to maybe take a different pathway. Those people have shared that wisdom to us. In that same way, would we not feel compelled to give wisdom to others as it was passed down to us? Or is it for us to say, you know what? Okay, I see what they're doing. It's not for me to intervene. Let them get on with it. But if they come to me, then I will give my advice.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what you're saying?
Kind of. I mean, it's not just, I don't, like, okay, so passing wisdom on to other people is not just about talking. It's about embodying that wisdom. You know, so a lot of the times you don't really need to say it. You don't really need to go to that person and be like, hey, this is better, or you're going to feel better if you do this, or see things this way. Like, people are going to get there, but it's not really your responsibility to get them there. There's a difference between wanting to help people, you know, and thinking that we know what's the best way to help people. And it all depends. It depends on what relationship you have with that person, on, you know, the past that you have with that person, and the triggers that you have with that person. Because usually with family, there's a lot of triggers. There's a lot of
triggers.
There's a lot of unresolved stuff. So it's a lot harder for them to receive you in an objective way, like a stranger would. You know, and it's more complicated. And I feel like, yes, you can share, of course you can share, but I feel like the best thing you can do is just, you know, be accepting of where they're at and validating of where they're at, you know, and because we like to think that we know better. But why? Says who? You know, we've just experienced something different, but it doesn't mean that it's better for them. They're exactly where they need to be. And okay. Yes, if they want wisdom, I can share it, but yeah, everyone's got to do their own.
Okay, that sounds great. And then we get into relationships with people. Gets a bit more tricky, because then you want that space to yourself, that time to yourself. Oh, I need to spend time to be with the fairies, or I need that time to spend with the angels, or I need that time to spend time to love myself. I've got to spend time loving me too. Well, what about our relationship? What about what we do together? How do you then balance that self-love and relationship, with then finding that partner for you that you can continue to grow?
Mm-hmm. Okay, I really like this question. All right, so the thing is, for me, self-love is not just something I do 1 hour every day. It's something I do every hour of the day. So I like to just think, what would someone who loves themselves do? Like all the time, you know, and just do it as much as I can. So it's not just that, but of course I understand what you mean, you know, spending time on sorry, on your own and doing your own things. That's also healthy, you know, in a relationship. And for me personally, I think it's all about finding another person with whom you have compatible needs and with whom you can communicate those needs and just be really, really open about that. You know, I feel like there's certain needs that your partner has to meet for you because they're your romantic needs, you know, within the relationship. And there's also needs that only you can meet for yourself, which are probably the ones that you meet when you're on your own, you know, when you're meditating or when you're out with the fairies or whatever. And I think any healthy relationship can have both. You know, I don't think it's I don't think it's that complicated.
It's not that complicated. Interesting. So you, but once you decide, okay, let's put it this way: the being that you are, the enlightened being with the fairies and the angels, and working with the crystals and doing these things, you become. You're not going to find your partner in a nightclub, are you?
Well, I don't
Or
really
a bar.
Well,
this is what I'm saying to you. This is what I'm saying. It's not going to be the bar. See, it's the bar, the restaurant, the nightclub. So it's not that way. And then possibly going online, the dating agency. I'm talking this. I'm talking really for the person that's watching the show, rather than how does somebody who is an enlightened being find themselves somebody of similar interests and stature to find compatibility in this world where many are conditioned in a way that is not really.
Okay. I like this question a lot. Okay, so this is all about attraction, like the law of attraction. So I don't think it's even about going out to look for that person. That person's going to come into your life because you're just naturally going to attract it into your life. But here's the thing, okay? We don't just attract with our conscious mind. We also attract with our subconscious mind. So maybe in our conscious mind, we know that we want a loving partner who's emotionally available, you know, who's understanding, who's sensitive, who's communicative, blah, blah, blah. But in our subconscious mind, we've learned that love is something different. You know, love is what we received from our parents, basically, what we experienced in childhood at home. So if our home was chaotic, if our parents were distant, if they were not validating of our emotions, that's what we're going to attract into our life. So the more that we do shadow work, the more that we go deep into the subconscious mind and reprogram that into what we really know that love is, that's what we're going to attract. You know, so a lot of the times, you know, people will be like, well, I've been doing all this positive focus and I know what I want and I want someone spiritual and blah, blah, blah. But then they find, you know, being in an abusive relationship or a toxic relationship. It's happened to me, you know, and then you can't just blame the world. Like, you have to take responsibility and see why your vibration is matching the other person, because otherwise your reality would be different. You are compatible at some point, even if it's vibrational. So for example, let's say I attract into my life an abusive relationship or a toxic relationship, then maybe there is some deep wound that has to do with abuse somewhere in my subconscious mind, and there is. Always.
Of course.
Otherwise, you can't manifest that into your reality. You can't.
Totally agree with you. Totally agree with you. I say that the universe that you're in is a reflection of the deeper stuff that's going on. It's a reflection. It's like a mirror image. What you've got here is what's out there.
Yes.
And that's what you'll attract. If you want drama in your life, oh, you'll get soap operas, and you'll get loads of soap operas. If you want, if you want to be and you're obsessive, then you know you'll reflect that as well. If you're cheating and conniving, you'll get loads of it. You know, it always fascinates me, these people that say, oh, bad guy, like these like women things. I'm saying, I want a bad man in my life. Yeah, a real rugged bad guy. And then when they get him, oh, he's cheated on me. He's done this. He's done that. So, well, this is what you attracted. This is what you wanted. You wanted that because you lack the love in yourself. You've attracted that in your life, and now you've got what you wanted. How ungrateful! Now you complain about what you asked for. You got it. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, but I think, you know, people have to take responsibility but not blame, you know, because it's really easy to feel bad about that, you know, because like once you start learning about the law of attraction, I think it's important again to realize that the subconscious mind plays an important role. But you know, we've all gone through traumatic experiences in childhood which have created these beliefs and low vibrations in our subconscious mind that are attracting these things. So there's a lot of things we're unaware of, you know, and it's not like we're consciously attracting that horrible person. You know, we don't want that. Nobody wants that. Everyone wants to be happy in a relationship, you know. But our subconscious mind and our conscious mind don't have the same concept of love. So that's why there's that dissonance, you know. And I just feel like, yeah, I feel like it's important to go into that journey, you know, within, and to see what there is in your subconscious mind. And when these things come up, by the way, it's the best because they give you an opportunity to work on those things. Is when these things can come up into the light. It's great. It's like, it's painful, okay? It's super painful, but it's an opportunity, and it's because you're ready to do it. You're ready to go and dive deep into that and create integration, you know, for all those fractured aspects of yourself. And then you do start seeing changes, because I've seen that, you know, you start attracting what you really know that love is, what you really, really know that love is.
Absolutely. I want to close on this one. Affirmation and affirmation. Now, yeah, here we go. Affirmation. He's like, what? Affirmation. The law of attraction, we talked about the secret, which isn't a secret because everyone knows about it. Okay, so the affirmation, okay, where the affirmation is, if I sit down and I say to myself every day, I will be a millionaire, or I am a millionaire, I'm a millionaire, I'm a millionaire. Yeah, and I say, well, actually, I'm minus X amount of money in my bank account, and I've gone right through my overdraft, and the bank manager wants to talk to me. Affirmation. Now, affirmation is for me to become a millionaire. Affirmation is why am I not a millionaire? Affirmation is how can I obtain a millionaire status? You see the difference?
Of course.
The affirmation is making a declaration about something that you know you want to be true, but you know at the moment isn't.
Mm-hmm.
Affirmation is the bridge between what you want from what you want and it becoming reality. That bridge between want and God, the bridge, the affirmation. Yeah. So the secret is really, it's not I am, or it's how am I to obtain these things.
Yeah.
So what do you think about that?
I think it's just the whole positive focus thing. I'm not into it. I'm more into shadow work. Like, I think, you know, positive focus is just a natural result, you know, that occurs. Like, we are naturally like optimistic people. Like, we're that's our nature. But first we need to do the shadow work. So I don't feel like affirmations would work for everybody. They definitely don't work for me. Like, if I don't believe it, then it's like I'm lying to myself. So I'd rather, do what you're saying, you know, why is this not happening right now, and work on that so that it can happen.
Yes. But then that is the law of, we talked about earlier on, about bringing that out, bringing it out. So it's like, and if we bring it to head, we can deal with it. So if I'm saying to myself, well, why am I in the position that I'm in at the moment? How can I get myself into a better position? What will it take for me to get to this position, as opposed to sitting down in a room and chanting, I am a millionaire, I am a millionaire, I will be a millionaire. I mean, you know, and that's the secret. And I'm like, well, okay, fine, fair enough. And when I listen to about affirmation, it made me take more accountability, responsibility, and
exactly.
look within for those answers, and to cultivate from within, to bring out that greatness from within.
Exactly.
So, Zion, thank you so much for being on Bayloric Worldwide Television. For those who want to contact you and know more about what you do.
Sorry, can you repeat that?
For those people, those people want to know more about you and what you do and how to get in contact with you. Your sales pitch.
Okay, so my website is heartunion.weebly.com. And I post a lot of things there. I write blogs, and you can see my services there. I give counseling, and I also give fairy readings. And they can also follow me on Facebook and on Instagram. It's Heart Union, and also YouTube, Heart Union. Everything's Heart Union. And yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm super grateful. I really enjoyed this.
Zion, I am super grateful myself, and I'm blessed. And you know, I will share this with you, and I want to say it to the end, so you remember it. Thank you, because I ran across your channel at a moment where I was not in the best of spirits, and I felt lost and confused. Listening to one of your videos, the light bulb came back on, and I want to thank you, because by just that knock-on effect, certainly back up and running, and I want to thank you.
Wow.
You took the time to do that video, and for you to take the time to do that video, it's not just about sometimes getting on a channel and doing a video. Sometimes there's so many things in the background that are going on in our backgrounds that we sometimes have to shut off before we do those videos. I want to say thank you. So I appreciate your message, and don't ever be disheartened. People are listening to your message. People are watching you. And, so thank you very much.
Yeah, I'm so grateful. You know, that makes me really want to carry on doing that. I'm really glad. But you did the work eventually. Like, you know, it's a co-creation, but you're the one who got yourself right out of that state. So, you know.
I listened, I watched, I saw wisdom and greatness, and from that I was able to take from that and continue. So that's one of them.
It's once again your own reflection. You know that it's your own wisdom being reflected at you.
So that's one of the main reasons. One of the main reasons that, because you know, there's so many people, public figures I've interviewed before, but this made something very special. Not degrading anybody else, but this made something special because it's once again giving back to a community. And I really hope and pray that those people that are out there today watching this video today help and want some support, reach out to Zion, a phenomenal woman doing some phenomenal work. And I look forward to having you back on the show soon.
Thank you. I would love to.
Namaste and all the best.
Namaste.